Our focus is going to move, though, to the silver edition next. Before we go there, though, we really must mention some of the sponsors who've really helped us, and a little commercial here and a little bit of information about RaceRoom, the platform we use.
Things to be aware of organizing eRacing Championship without RaceRoom. First, no automated leaderboard would always be labor-intensive. Elimination round would be the only way to filter the winners. Having the participants adhering to the schedule would be a huge test. We need to know the task will get bigger when participants increases. Time-consuming. Organizing eRacing Championship without RaceRoom, it's all need run manually to take down the participants and eliminate them from first round group to final round group. Because it is manual human labor, there bound to be human error. Manual human labor would have a price tag for the man-hours involved. New participants would never have chance. The e-racing clubs in the world will send their best racers to participate the race. But that means your championship exposure is just limited to the e-racing clubs. Why choose RaceRoom? Our 3E official championship have fully automated leaderboard. Participants can log in anytime to lead the fastest lap time within the qualifying period. Each of the racers already have their ranks with RaceRoom. Next, save time. You can have unlimited amounts of participants in a super short time to qualifying them to final race. RaceRoom can cover unlimited amount of participants. We have a full automated esports ecosystem from qualifying leaderboard to broadcast AI. Besides, RaceRoom's free contents lets everyone can participate to the race.
Hi, you're watching eRacing GP Season 3. It's the first round of 6 that we've got lined up for you over the next 7 weeks. We're going to do 3 rounds, then take a week's breather, and then finish the season for Season 3. Season 4 promises to be spectacular. Delighted to have many familiar faces and names along. Some of your Facebook comments. Mohammed Zikri made too many mistakes, he said, but the racing is overall better in bronze. Mike Antinocom from last to first in race number 2. I think he's a proud dad. Congratulations to Alex Nocom, says Albert Parungao. James says congratulations to the Philippines. Jamal Lacuna, missing the fun. We're missing you fella as well. Do get back on board as soon as you can. So our focus will now move to the silver edition, Alex. And what tricks and skullduggery have you got in store for these competitors?
Okay, so first of all, I just want to talk about the F3 cars because they look beautiful. I've always been keen to try, well, they're not, okay, in the game they're actually called Formula RaceRoom 3, but these are F3 cars, the old school F3 cars, which we've lost now because the new F3 cars in FIA are the big heavier things. But these are light and fast and good amounts of downforce, really great fun to drive. So I'm loving to watching them on screen now. We just saw Harris Zeffy there. Harris Zeffy was, I think, a runner-up in Copper Bronze last year, last edition, so now up to silver. So, what changes? There is a small change, mate, in that for silver and gold today, we are doing the longer races. We're not doing a reverse grid. We're just doing a 5-minute qualifying and then straight into a race. And in Silver's cases, it's 40-minute race, just like in Gold case. Damage is full, tire wear is on, but pit stops are not mandatory. But with damage being full, if your tire gets to 0, you will get a puncture. So while pit stops are not mandatory, I think everyone will be doing at least one pit stop.
So pit strategy will come into play, and this will be new. This will be a new discipline for many of these racers. Certainly we've seen it in Gold, where they have the 40-minute race. I saw a lot on the server during the week practicing the longer races, and were they utilising the pits, or were they being more cautious and looking after their tyres?
So a few of them try the pits. You can see a few of them still trying to work out how to get the best out of it. I don't know if anyone can go the full distance without pitting, because tire wear's at ×2 at the moment. So yeah, I think they will definitely need to pit, but we'll see.
As for the F3 cars, are they tough on the tyres? Because there looks to be a couple of very heavy corners here, and a lot of the drivers are going off the circuit, and that'll introduce an awful lot of tyre wear, or tyre degradation.
It is a high energy track. In the RaceRoom game, however, braking also does a lot to tyre wear, which is, it does it more than it does in a real life. And this is not a heavy braking track, I think. It's quite flowing. There are a couple hard braking spots, but only a couple. So yeah, I don't think so. Not so bad. I think, like we saw in Global Edition 2, Hungary was really tough on tyres. Constant cornering. I'm going to say medium for tyre wear.
As for the competitors to really look out for, start of the season, we've got to practice nice and early. There's 6.5 minutes. Haris Zephi, he wrote actually in the Facebook comments, and please join the Facebook comments, he had a bad feeling about today. What do you reckon that's about?
I'm not sure, because he's looking pretty good right now. 56.2, that's a really quick lap time. So these are the practice sessions. Drivers, okay, lap time is not so important here because no one's doing qualifying runs. Everyone's be doing full fuel and heavy runs with the tires to see how they go, as they try and get an idea for what sort of strategy they want to do. But yeah, no, Harris is looking pretty good at the moment.
Dylan Tam was a young fella who made a lot of headlines, not always for the right reasons, in Season 2. A very aggressive driver. He's out there, he's competing in the silver category this time. Hopefully he's calmed down just a little bit, although not too much, because a little bit of the aggression can be very much part of this game. Yeah,
I know you like that. We've seen Dylan try some outrageous moves, to be honest. But with damage being full, I hope he'll be a bit careful. We know how quick he is. He's a really quick driver, isn't he? We saw some great pace. He did one Gold race, I think, last season as well. We gave him a go at Gold to see how he would do. And what did he do? I think he crashed one race, but was really quick in the other. So a very promising talent of the future.
Leon Leo Young was a champion in, was it the bronze he won last time? And so you've elevated him quite rightly up to the silver. How much of a leap is it from one class to the next?
Small leaps. It's not too bad because we've got 4 categories. If we only had 2 categories, it'd be a big jump. I mean, if you looked at the copper race and then you looked at the gold race, the difference would be stark. It's a huge difference, just the quality of the racing. But I hope you'll see as we've gone through this edition, the racing's improved with each race. And silver will be another level higher than bronze. But not a... You will see the difference, but it's not going to be like a night and day thing.
There's quite a few Hong Kong competitors. Tony Fock is also there as well. He's posted the 4th fastest qualification time as Tony. He's in the same sky blue livery, Team Astana. He's been quick all the time. He joined the season very late in bronze last year. Had 3 very good rounds and ended up near the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, so Tony, he was really quick on the weekly leaderboard as well leading up to this race. So we'll see how he goes. But I think he'll be one to look out for as well. As we watch cars go around the track. And this is this last bit of corners, the last corner here. So Tony will be one to look out for. And he's in the Team Astana colours, which surprisingly mirrors the same colours of his team, which is the Project U team.
Okay, one thing we haven't really spoken about is the Road America circuit. I believe we've got a flying lap from Miko Nasi, who'll be competing in the gold class. So Miko will just take us on a flying lap around the Road America circuit. Let's just see how much the elevation really impacts the drivers.
Welcome to Road America. The track's located in Wisconsin, USA. Really close to Elkhart Lake. Track's been around since the 1950s or so, has a lot of history, lots of races. I don't really know anything about the history. Our lovely ERGP commentators can fill you in on that stuff. Alright, coming up to turn 1, super quick right-hander. Just breathe off the throttle and then back onto full. And another right-hander here. Get a little bit of the grass on the entry, on the apex, works fine. And it gives you a good run down the really long moraine sweep, apparently it's called. And then we'll start going downhill here. One of the very heavy braking zones. Look for the curb on the right to start your braking. And very patiently get the car inside. A little bit of wheel spin on the exit. Blind left-hand corner here. I missed the apex a little bit there. Super tricky to get that right consistently. And then a 90-degree left here. Second gear again. And then the really fun, really fast carousel. And it's full throttle in these Indycars. Maybe not on the harder compound tires when you're following someone with aero push through the flat-out kink here. Of course, now I'm on the softer compound tires that hopefully everyone's going to be using qualifying around the 150-meter marker. Braking here for Canada corner. Careful on the exits, don't run out of the track limits. And back to the final corner. Brake a little bit before the asphalt changes color there. Use all of the road on the exit. And back on the start finish straight. That's a lap of Road America. In the RaceRoom Formula US, aka IndyCar. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Miko. Always good to hear from you. We'll see Miko in action a little bit later on. Harris Zeffy is still the man with the fastest practice time. A minute or so to go. We've gone through some of the key races. Oli Aquino is there for the Philippines. Sev Tagulo is another familiar name for us, as is Paul Faustino. Darren Ivan is there. Who are we anticipating to really make a breakthrough in the silver class? Harris, perhaps?
Well, Harris we know is quick. He needs to work on his racecraft, though. I'm not sure if he, sometimes he makes some mistakes, but we know he's always quick. Maz Vilton. I like Maz Vilton. He's actually a very experienced sim driver from Singapore. I feel we didn't see the best of him at the last silver class in the last GE2, but I think he'll come strong. Tony Fox will be quick as well. Oliver Aquino that you mentioned, he's also very experienced. He was quick in the weekly leaderboard as well, and I think he's had time to put in the practice, so I think he'll be pretty strong as well. Troy Elman as well. He's from Stratos Motorsports. He's a very quick driver. The Malaysian. Actually, he's kind of interesting story there. He's actually doing a Rotax Max race this weekend at Sepang. And he cut short practice because the race is tomorrow. So he cut short practice, ran back to a sim to get into the competition. And I know he's been practicing all week. So obviously he's in the server, unless that's his dad driving for him. I doubt it though. But so Troy managed to make it back in time.
So we'll keep an eye on Troy Iman as qualifying gets underway. We are with Troy Iman, and on the right of your screen you can see a lot of the Zoom people that we've got on access. Occasionally we'll just show you what the drivers are looking at. We had a brilliant look at Gonzalez as he crashed out in the previous race, head on hands, and then decided to pack in the race. He was leading. Troy Iman, first in qualifying, didn't get off to a particular good start. Let's look with Harris Zeffy.
So Harris, let's follow him for the whole lap as he goes on turn 1. Oh, look at him. He's actually sliding in the seat as he goes through there, maybe simulating the G-forces. Turn 2 is a kink. Turn 3 is a proper corner here. Can use the grass on the exit. Does he use the grass? No, he doesn't. Driver's been very careful about using the grass. While it is a bit quicker at a couple spots and you won't get incident points for it, you can damage your car out there. Now this long drag. That's why it's such a slipstream fest here for braking for turn 5. He's purple in sector 1, looking good. Rotates the car really nicely through there. Gets a good exit. Over the brow, turn 6. bit tricky for braking here. Watch the traction on the exit. Seems to get his foot down nicely. And now through turn 7. Short straight for turn 8. As he goes through here. Down the gears. Nicely done. And now where are we? I think this is the carousel coming next, isn't it? Long corner through here. Easy flat in a Formula 3 car. You're flat for so long through here. You're flat through the carousel, and then you're flat through these next 2 kinks. Right and left, revs rising. Maximum speed in Formula 3 car, maybe 270 kilometers per hour. Before, oh, it says 240 there. Obviously, this car has more downforce. It's got a high downforce package. Braking for turn 12.
Fastest through Sector 2.
Wow, fastest through Sector 2 as well, Des. So that's looking really good for Harris right now. Easy flat through here. Looks like a clean lap so far. Final corner of the lap, turn 14. Most important corner to get right because it determines your exit for the long start-finish straight. Looks very clean. Looks very clean and actually a little bit conservative. But this, at the moment, looks like it's be good enough for pole position. On the right, he's tucking in. Whoa! He's super happy with that. Super happy with that. Okay, he's got one more try. He can do another lap. Let's
focus on somebody else though. Tony Fock put in a decent lap in. He's got himself into P2, but great reaction there from Harris Zephy. Wei Xiong is another who we know can be occasionally quick, but he's 2 tenths down at the end of number 1. Troy Iman, he's not too far off it, and as you can see, is that Troy?
Yeah, that is Troy.
That was Troy?
That wasn't him in the picture. That was Wei Xiong in the picture.
Okay.
But Troy there, this is looking good. He's within touching distance of Zephy. Oh, he's lost a couple tenths in Sector 2. So, but this will be good enough for the front row if he can hold on. Oh, he's using all the grass at the apex there. Whoa, I don't know if that was a track limits issue there. He might get this lap deleted. It looks okay at the moment. He was right on the limit for track limits. Final corner now. Blips the throttle mid-corner. Gets the exit out of the last corner though. Down the start-finish straight. Will this be good enough for pole position?
Or will it be an invalid lap? That is crucial for him. If it is an invalid, no, he's been given it. 0.4 down, but Troy Iman second fastest overall. That just shows you how quick the Harris Zephy was. He is 0.4 faster than Troy Iman currently in second.
Wow, really good job by Harris Zephy. Who else shall we have a look at then?
So how about the Japanese contingent? Nois O. Let's see how he's doing. Oh, he's a long way down. Sorry, Nois, to bring attention to that. You mentioned Tony Fock earlier on. Tony Fock at the moment. He's slow as well. 2 tenths down through Sector 2. Tell you what, that Harris lap was a stonking lap. That really has taken the breath away. As Tony Fock comes through here, he'll finish the lap in... well, 156, again 0.4 down. It moves him up into P2 ahead of Troy Iman. Dylan Tang can be quick as well. Let's have a look at Dylan, Alex.
Oh, I know he's 4 tenths down in the first sector. I don't think he's going to improve on that. Let's go back to Zephy though, maybe, because maybe we can see how Zephy's doing on his second lap. See if oh, wow. Wow. He's gone even quicker through the first 2 sectors. And he's keeping it nice and clean here. This is going to extend his advantage if he can hold on. Wow, he was right on the limit of track limits there. So it looks like this might be good enough to extend his advantage. We'll have to go back to Tony Fock and Iman to see if they can close the fast Malaysian at the front right now.
So Harris Zephy, we just saw him in shot there as he comes over the brow of the hill. Can he improve his own pole time? The answer is 147. No, he's not been able to improve it. He lost a little bit of time on the end, but he will still be in P1. Bit early to celebrate, Harris, I think.
It is a bit early. Oh, Mats Vilton, he goes second, but he's holding on the pole. Let's see who else is out there. I know Iman is still out there. Oh, he crosses the line now. Does he go quicker? No, he doesn't. Harris Zephy, Shimey on pole.
So Harris Zephy will take pole position. Jin Masvilton in P2. Nurse Shazli Zan put in a good lap. Singapore 2 and 3. Tony Fock for Hong Kong on the second row of the grid. Iman and Dylan Tan make it Malaysia, Singapore on row 3. Ryan Keith, who we didn't mention, is often quick, and Seb Tagulo. And then Garrido and Aquino on all Philippines row 5.
Oh, that was super exciting. But Harris Zeffy just getting it in the end. He's got Maz Vilton next to him, though, and I fancy Maz Vilton. He's a very experienced sim driver from Singapore. It's going to be hard to keep him behind Harris.
eRacing GP Global Edition Silver race number 1. In fact, it's the only race. It's a 40-minute race. And that means that Harris's pole becomes extra important. Alex will be handing over the reins in the commentary to Amo Hazik, who'll join us very shortly. But in the meantime, Alex, Harris Zeffy, you marked him down as the man to beat. He's laid down that marker.
And don't forget, we have pit stops too.
So, in the garage, in the United States of America, no national anthems. No other gimmicks. Harris Zeffy is the man, the Malaysian, who is in pole position. And a very long way ahead of anybody else in pole as well. Amo Hazik about to join me as Jin Masvilton gets off to a solid start, but so does Harris. But Masvilton has closed on him very rapidly, and Masvilton has got off to a flyer. Harris Zeffy is still holding on, but he will be under immense pressure coming through this first corner. Harris Zeffy feels Masvilton behind him. Amo Hazik alongside me. It's a clean start, but Masvilton got off to an absolute stormer.
Oh yes, absolutely. And it's important that he actually stays behind Zeffy for the first few laps, because he doesn't want the guy to get away. But unfortunately for him, he's got his fellow Singaporeans right behind him. He could easily be swamped here coming into turn 5.
Indeed, there are 3 Singaporeans in a line there. Masvilton at the front. Shazli Zan in the green as Masvilton goes wide. Shazli Zan moves up into P2. Dylan Tan then moves up into P2. You called that one perfectly, Amo Hazik, and Harris has got a full second clear.
And as a double slap in the face, Masvilton now has a lot more work to do than he would have wanted. He now has a 1.5 second deficit between him and Zeffy. That's going to be a lot of work to do in this 40-minute race.
So Harris Zeffy has been able to pull out 1.5 seconds. Again, you called it quite right. Important that they stay close, but they can't stay close. Troy Iman in 7th has got Tony Fock, Ryan Keitner, Shazleen, Jin Masvilton and Dylan Tan ahead of him. And out in the far distance is Harris Zeffy.
Wow, and look at that. This is a Singapore scrap between the 4 of them from 2nd to 5th. And Troy Amon gets a bit of a nudge from, I think, Garrido, and that inadvertently pushes up to 6th. Now that is a different type of power boost that he would have wanted, but either way, that he would take it anyway.
We're keeping a close eye on Choi Iman. We've got a soft spot for the dedication he's showing to eRacing GP this weekend. Dylan Tan currently in 2nd, but look at the lead that Harris Zeffy has been able to establish. It's nearly 2 seconds going into lap number 2.
And disconsolately for the rest of them, they don't have DRS. Formula 3 cars in this particular spec, the 2015 version of the Dallara F315, would not have the DRS. So whenever they start squabbling, and they will inevitably will, he's gonna pull away an even bigger gap, and he would just be disappearing off into the Wisconsin countryside.
Yeah, the bad news for everybody else is that he was nearly 0.4 of a second quicker than anybody else in qualification. That was the reason that we saw him absolutely thrilled to bits. Masvilton, meantime, has got himself back into P2 ahead of Dylan Tan, Shazli Zan, Ryan Keith, Troy Amon and Tony Fock and Joaquim Garrido. It is a train behind Harris Zeffy.
Wow, wait. This was the kind of start that Zeffy would have wanted after being so close to winning the bronze edition last season, where he just got knocked out by a very good set of team tactics by the Project Mu guys. Yes, it was a little bit rough on him, but he looks like he's going to put that behind him now and go for it in this championship.
Jim Masvilton is the man in the box at the bottom right. We've got access to the cameras just so you can see what the real focus is on them, and there's a lot of focus and a lot of concentration and a dreadful football scarf above his right shoulder. We'll have to rip that one down.
Well, I can't say that for much because I wouldn't want to put personal feelings into this for football. But as you can see, that might be, I think that Starsby is sitting right behind Masvilton. So yes, they're both now, I think, sharing this seat. Probably both are Arsenal fans, but either way, look at the focus on his face. He knows that he has a lot of work to do in this 40-lap race.
Little glance down to see how he's doing, but I tell you what he's doing. He's 2+ seconds adrift of Harris Effie Sharmy, and Harris has just raced away from everybody else. It is a long race. It's a 36 minutes still to go, and you've got to keep your focus. But this is an astonishing lead so early in the race for Harris.
Oh, yeah. In fact, in a Formula 3 race, normally they will just be within 1 to 1.5 seconds within each other because these cars don't depend on aerodynamics as much as Formula 1. So, really, for him to build up such a gap is astonishing. He either had a setup that we don't know of, but these guys are fixed. So, he's just been driving so well. He's in tune to the car. He is now looking at what could be a good start to the season for himself after that disappointment last time out in bronze class.
He was up at the top of the hill when his followers were down at the bottom of that hill. Maz Wilton, Dylan Tan, Nurse Shazlizan and Ryan Keith. A four-way Singaporean battle for P2. Tony Fock and Joaquim Garrido. Now Garrido is an interesting character as he looks on the inside there of Tony Fock. He's in the yellow. He's got Choi Iman pressuring him from behind. Garrido is the best of the Filipinos at the moment, and we include there Mark Voltaire, Elman, Paul Faustino. Daniel Miranda has crashed out, but Garrido the best of the Philippines at the moment.
And after dominating was basically the copper class, basically getting the first two positions in the second race for copper class, and they were doing well in bronze. This is not looking well for the Filipinos in the Nations Cup in silver at least. But mind you, it's a 40-minute race. There's a bit of a slight collision there coming through Canada corner. That can happen because it's such a tight corner there, and it goes out the hill. Anyone can easily lose it due to the inclination, but luckily no one went out completely as we saw in the copper and bronze classes.
I was going to say Canada Corner has been pretty respectful so far at the silver class. We saw some spectacular stuff in the copper class. Dylan Tan, though, right on the tail of Jin Masvilton, and Dylan, won't miss an opportunity to try to make an overtaking maneuver, although this occasion, where's the Dylan Tan of last season, Amo Hazik?
I guess he got a bit of a one of telling off to by the stewards or by anyone who has been managing him. He is now maturing a bit as a driver. He knows that points are more important than putting on gutsy maneuvers this early, especially this early in the championship. So right now, he's thinking about championship points, but still, he is pushing it, and he's got around the inside here of Miss Wilton coming to turn 5. Will he make the maneuver? Yes, he does. He manages to actually still break him, but Miss Wilton on the switchback gets him up the hill.
That's good play from Masvilton. He was aware that Dylan would make the maneuver, almost allowed him to go through, and knew that he could accelerate back up. As these, though, joust, exactly as you were saying, Amo, it's why we put you in the analyst chair. As they joust, Harris Zeffie has increased his lead now to over 3 seconds, and we're only on lap 4.
Oh, man. That's the one thing that these guys didn't want. In fact, despite them being countrymen, they would probably be thinking, hey guys, we just need to work together because right now our target is running away and we're squabbling over each other. This is basically daylight robbery.
As he disappears. Let's look a little bit further down. Leon Leo Leung, who was a competitor for Harris Zeffie in the bronze edition last year. He's currently down in P14. He's finding the transition maybe a little bit more difficult than Harris is.
Well, because for Zeffie, it's easy for him because he is so used to Formula 1 cars. In fact, his primary game prior to joining RaceRoom was the Co-Masters F1 series. And single-seaters for him, he's no stranger to it. It's like taking a duck to water. For Leong, unfortunately, Triple L, he has not been transitioning too well considering the fact that he's a master of touring cars. Different kettle of fish. He just needs to probably get a few races in to probably really settle in and try to get the championship away from Zeffie if he was that far by that time.
Experienced e-racer Amo Hazik is the man in the analyst chair for today, so just gives a little idea of how different it is, the single seater to the touring cars, in terms of how it handles and how you've got to manipulate the controls.
Yeah, definitely, and the fact that wings and slicks compared to tin tops, this and the amount of speed that he carries. In fact, these Formula 3 cars could easily run rings around the World Touring cars that he raced last time out. So he, again, the transition for him is completely alien, but he's putting up a good fight here right now for P12.
Although he's under real pressure, both left and right, and Triple L loses 2 places instantly. Justin Hung and Mark Voltaire Elman both go either side of him. Credit to Triple L as he tries to take the inside line as they come up the brow of the hill. He goes very wide, and Triple L loses it. He loses it. Oh, he's just managed to hang on, but he's dropped down to P13. The man who lost it was Mark Voltaire Elman.
And Juan He, they both were involved in that collision because I think he just went slightly wide coming out the hill at turn 6. And the grass was there. The car just didn't have enough grip. He spun right into the path of Mark Voltaire Elman. Unlucky for him, because normally he's the one that's involved in the wars, either causing it or he's collateral. This time he's completely not at fault in this one. He just got taken out.
There is Juan He and Mark Voltaire Elman. They were the 2 involved in that. Let's go back up to the top. Harris Zeffy, 3.5 seconds clear. He's not accelerating away. He's just managing to keep the same pace. Best lap of 1:47.4. Last lap of 1:47.5. That's consistent.
57 actually, but yeah.
Between 57, yes. That would be quick.
And then this time around it's a 58.2, while Miss Vilton's just across the line. It was invalid, but he's backing off the pace a bit because he knows he needs to save these tires. He might have to do a pit stop, despite the fact that Formula 3 cars don't normally do a pit stop. But in this case, due to the tires wearing out so much, he might just have to back off so that he doesn't have to either A, do a pit stop, or B, he just carries on doing what he does right now. He probably doesn't want to risk a pit stop.
Obviously, as a racer yourself, what would you be thinking? Pit stop or risk?
I think I'll go for the pit stop because to go onto the tires that you have right now, all the way, you're gonna go onto the canvas and there'll be no grip lap. It's awful to drive. So right now, it's better to just do the pit stop. But before that, you just have to conserve the tires. So right now, what he's doing here is basically give the initial push, back off, and then towards the end of the stint, before the in lap into the pits, he'll push it a bit more to increase the gap, then come out still further ahead. So I think this is what Zeffy's doing right now.
My next question. When would you make that pit stop? Mid-race, around about the 20-minute mark?
I think a bit beyond the 20-minute mark because you want to have slightly more fresher tires towards the end of the race. So I think around the 15, where there's 15 laps to go, around the 25-minute mark, that's probably where he'll stop. But I think a lot of these guys will stop by the halfway, so it's just to keep the tires even for both stints.
Well, one little problem that Harris may well have to overcome fairly soon. He's doing so well, he's picking up back markers. I think that's Wei Xiong who's a full lap down on him and is close to being overtaken. Harris Zeffy, well, that lead is down. It was 3.5 seconds. He's not been able to increase it. Jin Masvilton and Dylan Tan are working quite nicely alongside him. Is that Wei Xiong that we're on board? I think it is. So Wei Xiong is the tailgater at the moment. P25, struggling at this level, Amo Hazik. Kapala yours.
Yeah. In fact, he told me just now that he wanted to do a tire test to actually maximize his strategy, but I think he didn't have time to do that. Right now, he's just struggling away to actually keep up with the rest of the field. He's already a flat behind. In fact, that was not the car that was being chased by Zeffy. In fact, he is right now coming through the final corner, so it might have been a different car. But either way, yeah, Wei Xiong finding the transition from F4 to F3 quite hard. In fact, he was the AM champion at one point for the Causeway edition, so a bit of a baptism of fire for him in Formula 3. As
Harris Zeffy, that's a back marker he's dealing with there. His lead is just around about 3 seconds from Jin Masvilton. Juan here, drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
Wow. In fact, he was making his pit stop after the collision that he had with Mark Vortelman. And in fact, that the car that was overtaken just now was actually Roseanne Royf. So, yes, one of the Singaporeans. So, he's well behind. He's now a lap behind. But either way, bad to worse for Juan He, being involved in a collision and now having to serve another penalty. So his race is well and truly a write-off now.
We're on board with Ryan Keith at the moment, who's in a battle for P8. He's got Seb Tagulo. In fact, he's just lost a position there to Shakil. Ilham Karim has made the move, and a tense-looking Ryan Keith there. I love these on-board shots. They show the emotions of the drivers, and those drivers who do best are the ones we don't want to see because they're the least emotion givers that we get normally.
Yeah, in fact, we saw just now that prime emotion. It was absolutely raw from Francis, who went out because he just got hit by Yevon David. the look of disconsolation of how he lost that race, even though it's only the first round, was there to see, and that was painful for anyone who has been in that situation. So yeah, true emotion right here, but unfortunately not being shown by the leaders unless they win the race.
Hong Kong's finest is not having a fine time. P19 for Tony Fock, having to be conservative. Now, is this his pit stop? Has he pitted early?
Yep.
I think that was so. That's an interesting strategy there. Tony Fock has decided, let's do it very, very early, and let's get ourselves back in, and let's assume others will go. Now then, the race leader has gone in as well. Haris Zeffy. What's happened to Haris Zeffy?
He went further earlier than my prediction.
Okay.
In fact, yeah, there he goes. That's his mandatory stop out of the way. But the leaders have actually stayed out. So, will this play into Zeffy's hands, or will it play to theirs? I would say it will play into their hands, because they'll have fresher tires towards the end. This might have been very early for the start. In fact, he may have pushed the tires a bit too far, maybe 2 laps too far in terms of their lifespan.
Wow, that's a really big call from Haris Zeff. He's got everything else right so far this weekend, so assume that he'll get this one right, but he completely flummoxed you. You were expecting him to be out there for maybe another 10 minutes or so, Ammo.
Yeah, because I was thinking that because he did back off a bit, the gap was fluctuating between 3.1 seconds to 2.5. I was expecting him that he might have been pushing early, conserve a bit, and then pushing towards the end of his first stint to come into the pits, and then after that have fresher tires towards the end. But now the tables have turned. These guys are now running with the better tires towards the end if they're going to stop later.
Jin Masvilton is the man who is now the race leader, but he has yet to pit. It can be just a little bit confusing. There's a back marker with them as well. He's got Dylan Tan right on his tail. It's Singapore 1, 2 and 3. No, Shazli Zan is in the green car a little bit further behind them, but Jin Masvilton and Dylan Tan, they are the front two of that little pack of 3, and I think that's Dylan Tan looking to go into the pits. Is that right?
Yep, Dylan's in, and the fact that the guy behind him is actually Tony Fox. So he's got clear air now. He's been given the hammer time to push. But will he push his tires too far, or will does he have enough life in them to actually still stay out? We're not sure right now, but at the moment, he is actually extending that tire life, and he has the better opportunity to have fresher tire towards the end. So, it could go either way right now. Masvilton might be on the better strategy to have the fresher tires at the end, but the guys who pitted earlier will have the initial grip. And that might have him worried a bit, because he'll need to look back at the shoulder. How far is the gap between him and those guys who have stopped?
All right, let's go on board with Tony Fock if we can. I believe we've got a shot of him in Zoom. And Tony, he took a very, very early pit stop. And let's see what kind of a difference it makes, because he's gone past Jim Masvilton. He is a lap down, but let's not worry about that just for now. Officially, he's in 17th place, but there's an awful lot of recovery to happen. Haris Zeffy is in 12th place at the moment. Tony, how's he driving? I would expect him to be getting away from the drivers, the Jim Masviltons, a little bit more than that, Ammo, or am I being unfair?
No, actually that's quite justified, because he has made a stop already, so he should be by right pulling away from Masvilton, who is still not stopped, and he's on really worn tires. In fact, 9-lap-old tires now. So really, Masvilton, not making a start right now, looking like a good idea. He could literally just follow Fock around and literally just save his tires by being in his slipstream. He could easily still pull away from this. It might be a coup, but it might also be the fact that the guys who stop early might do a 2-stop strategy. We are not sure right now, because we're in unknown territory. We have not seen Formula 3 cars do pit stops, so it'll be interesting to see as Masvilton now comes in. So he's got almost to the halfway mark. He's going to have a bit more fresher tires towards the end of the race, but crucially, was it enough of a gamble to stay out and still be ahead?
It means that the new race leader is Philippines' Joaquim Garrido. Garrido, I don't think, has been in. Oliver Aquino will be in P2. Oliver Aquino is a good 6 seconds down on Garrido. Tell you what, I'm loving the mystery, because we haven't got any answers for you yet. The only answers will really come through when everybody has made the pit stop, because Haris Zeffy is still officially in P11, but he went in so super early. Let's just look on Haris Zeffy and see how he's driving. He's got clear track in front of him, as no Shazli Zan gets a drive-through penalty. He was in P3. nominally. But Haris Zeffy, talk to me about how he's driving at the moment on the new tyres.
So far, so good. In fact, once the pit stop shuffles itself around, the pit stop window, we're gonna have him lead by at least 2 seconds from Dylan. So the earlier lap that he came in has somehow worked to his favor, but Dylan is closing the gap on him. So we'll have to wait and see a bit later how this plays out, because stopping early is a good thing because you get to get out early and then heat up the tires faster. But because of Dylan stopping a lap later, he'll have much fresher tires. So this could actually go either way between these two drivers. And in fact, the third one, if Masvilton now he comes out, oh, he's way further behind. What happened to his pit stop?
Jin Masvilton, yeah, he's a long way behind. He's even behind Shazlizan. Good question about Jin Masvilton. There he is. He's been in and out. Let's talk about the racing. 130 kilometers an hour. Garrido and Aquino and Shakil Aziz are the 1, 2, 3 officially at the moment. Tagulo 4. Looking good for the Philippines. 4 of the first 7. But that is a false look, because Garrido and Aquino have still got to go in for a pit stop. In fact, Garrido has chosen now to go in for his pit stop, and Aquino will be the new race leader.
And it's about 70 seconds between him and Zeffy, so I highly doubt he'll be actually in front of him by the time his pit stop is done. Look at that, trundling along the pits at around 80 kilometers per hour. It feels like an age to come to your box, due to the fact that Road America has such a long pit road. He might actually just lose the position while he was actually still on the road. So there you go, now he stops, there's Zeffy, and there it is. That's how much of a gap he has to do.
Okay, so now we are beginning to see Haris Zeffy officially now in P3, but neither Tagulo nor Nofal Mohammed, who are on the leaderboard ahead of him, have made a pit stop as yet. So Haris Zeffy, he had a comfortable lead going into the pits. He's got a comfortable lead coming out of the pits, but not as comfortable as it was. His race lead was over 3 seconds. Now it's less than 2 seconds, because Dylan Tan has produced a little bit of magic, as you said, Amo.
Yeah, in fact, his outlap after the pit stop has been brilliant. He's in fact closing in on Zeffy. So right now, whatever the pit stop window that he did, a lap later, or maybe 2 laps, where we had to look back at the charts again, but he just stopped a bit later than Zeffy. He has now closed up on him. So this is the battle for the net race lead right now.
It is effectively the battle for the race lead. Your screen top left says Tagulo, Mohammed Faiz, now for Mohammed Faiz, and Zeffy, Haris Zeffy in P3. But 1 and 2 have still got to go in to the pits.
Oh, this is really now playing into Dylan's hands, due to the fact that Masvilton had a shocker of a pit stop. Don't know what happened to him. He was well ahead of them, and the fact that he did stay out a little bit longer. But by right, he should actually have the better tire towards the end, but that will not be counting in his favor because of the gap that he has created between himself and Zeffy. Right now, Zeffy's 11 seconds behind the race leader. Last night that we can discount that. The gap between him and Masvilton is about 17 seconds, so he can't make up 17 seconds within 70 minutes. He'll have to pound in lap after lap, at least 2 seconds a lap, just to make up that advantage. And this is not looking good for him. He's just way far behind as Wei Xiong gets a penalty.
Wei Xiong, 20 seconds. So Troy Iman has dropped out, Afiq Hamid has dropped out, Daniel Miranda's dropped out, but there are still 22 racing in there. Haris Zeffy is the man who's in the lead. Tagulo, the former race leader, goes into the pits.
Oh.
So does the second place man.
I don't know what was going on there. That is actually a back marker. He was trying to fight Zeffy, but luckily that was just a slight touch. But that could be a bit of a worry for Zeffy if his penalty points rack up. Which I doubt he has been anyway, because he was leading out in front with no incidents. But that would have been a scare for him. If there was damage, that would be crucial for Dylan to actually catch up to him in the last.
Oh,
he spins!
Zeffy has spun! Oh, what a nightmare for Haris Zeffy. He's lost his front cone as well, so his control will be all over the place. But how can Haris Zeffy make that kind of mistake?
Oh wow, I did say just now that if that collision with the back marker caused a damage, that might have been detrimental to his handling. And look at that. I didn't mean to really curse him right now. That would have been a commentator's blight. But that slight collision with the back marker may have dented his suspension a bit, and now he is now gonna drop all the way back to at least 7th with the damage that he had. So as the back marker now smacks the barriers coming into the carousel. So
well, there is Harris. He's recovered just a little bit, but he's way, way off the line there. His control is really, really struggling, and even the back markers are able to compete with him. Harris is saying, shoo, go away. I'm the man in P2. But he's 10 seconds down already on Dylan Tan. Dylan has taken complete advantage, and Harris Zeffy has had a nightmare.
Oh, it's an absolute mare for Zeffy. The fact that this back marker, that's the same back marker, I think that's either Darren Ivan Rijan or Ridordia Adisasmito. One of those two guys in the same colored Puma car. That has been his blight. He has absolutely wrecked this guy's race. It is Darren Ivan Rijan.
As Harris comes into the pits once again. Oh dear, so Darren has gone with him, but Harris Zeffy comes into the pits for the second time. He's got real problems to sort out, and what seemed to be a victory for him has come completely awry.
Oh, it's gone completely pear-shaped. In fact, it's already a squash pear, because there's no way back for him now. He has to make a very lengthy pit stop to replace not only the front nose cone, but to replace the tires. This will cost him at least, well, about a minute. Look at that. The pit crew are working on his car right now. This is taking an age, and look at that. He's dropped to 12th now, behind guys who have already made a pit stop. And here comes Tony Falk. He might be behind Tony Falk by the end of this.
My word, this is just an age. A real age, and you wonder whether or not Harris Zeffy is actually going to call it a day. But there's still 15 minutes left. He's still in point scoring mode, but ahead of him, Dylan Tan suddenly has a 14-second lead over Jin Masvilton. So young Dylan, barely tall enough to fit inside the chair. He must now just focus on the next 14 minutes of racing. You make no mistakes, young fella. You will pick up this win.
Oh man, I know that he was a kid, but that is a very tiny kid in a very big seat, and he's driving a direct drive wheel some more. That is something, because it takes a lot of force to turn these wheels, and he's driving it so calmly. You can see the focus on his face, but he has been driving absolutely well. A very big improvement from last season in the silver class. If he keeps on driving like this for the whole season, he's going to be promoted to Gulf in no time.
Let's rejoin Harris. So he is back on the circuit. That long stay in the pit lane has meant he's dropped from P2 to P13. Tony Falk did indeed get past him. There is Falk in the turquoise just ahead of him as they come up over the brow of the hill, and Harris Zeffy, oh, he was all smiles. He was all punching the air when he got qualification. He was a happy chappy going into the pits. Now he's a one miserable Malaysian. And
well, luckily we're not viewing him on board right now because he's gesticulating like mad against a driver who's actually on the lead lap as him actually. Yeah, Tony he's fighting for P12 right now, so he has every right to be ahead of him. He's just probably mad about himself that he did such a rookie mistake from what could have been an easy win. Even with the slight tire disadvantage, he comes through the kink now to overtake Tony Falk for 12. Falk's on the middle. Zeffy tries to go around the outside. He does commit to the outside. Come Canada corner. Does he make the move? No. Falk holds it well, but he might run wide here if he outbreaks himself. Nope, he doesn't. And Tony Falk holds on to 12 for now.
Jose Yusuf says, Harris, come on. Gav Quintos, oh my word, Harris. And Nizar Rishki, Harris not dominating a race. That's very rare. Keep going, Harris, says Lily Sayori. And Uzair, once again, please keep the comments coming in on Facebook. The drivers do look over them. But Dylan Tan is the man. Now, I need to say that Dylan Tan has lost a second and a half in the last lap. It was a 14.5 second lead. It's down under 13.
Now, this is again the tire strategy for Miss Wilton coming to play. If only he didn't have that very somehow bad pit stop, he would be at the right at the back of him by at least 5 seconds to actually still challenge. But now he's gonna have to go scenario 7 all the way for the last 12 minutes.
So Dylan Tan, we're on board with him. He is coming through now onto lap number 14. His lead is lap 15. His lead is under 12. Now then, Jin Masvilton, we've got 11 and a half minutes still to race. You've been in this kind of situation before, I'm sure, Amo. You know you're quicker. You know you've got momentum. Do you think that you can pull back 13 seconds on a man in front of you?
Actually, as a matter of fact, Des, I actually was in this kind of situation just this week on Wednesday when we did a Sim Racers Asia race in GT3, where I was chasing a guy, 2 guys right in front, and I had fresher tires for about more than 12 laps more. So I just hounded all the way and then managed to overtake the last 2 guys within the last 2 laps. So Ms. Vitten right now has to do this kind of situation where he's like in Lando Norris' situation. He just has to gun it for the last 10 minutes. He goes, if like the engineer for Orlando said, go scenario 7, and this is what he's doing. He's now within just above 12 seconds with just 10 minutes to go.
Invalid last lap time, so he's trying to push it, but Dylan Tan, he's got the fastest lap at the moment, 1:57.1, so Dylan, young, impetuous, but still in the lead, and I've got to say, he's increased that lead once again beyond 12.5 seconds. Great job. Great job by the young man. Back in P3 and 4, a Filipino battle between Joaquim Garrido and Oliver Aquino. Aquino, we're on board with him. He's in the white, Garrido in the yellow. They are 7.5 seconds adrift of Mads Wilton. This is the battle for P3 that you're watching.
Yep, and this might go all the way to the end because they did... Well, actually, I think Garrido just pitted a lap before Aquino, so that's why Aquino has better tires right now. He's all over the back of the yellow colored Puma racing car. He might actually drive for a different team, but either way, look at that. These two are just closing right to each other, and the dirty air is not that effective because these are Formula 3 cars who, as we know, they're not that aero dependent, so you can actually have really good close racing. But Aquino there nearly running into the back of Garrido, but Garrido holds on to third for now.
Up at the front, Jin Masvilton has got a lead because Dylan Tan has dropped away.
What happened? Oh, he's pitting.
Dylan Tan is pitting.
Oh, I'm looking at his onboard right now from a different screen. The Tasbase is pointing on the screen right now. They are gesticulating at the screen because they know they have a lead right now.
Wow, so Dylan had it all to lose. Now he didn't make a stop there, did he?
No, he did. But this is the 2-stop strategy as alluded to by Alex putting it into a stream, into text for us. He did say that just now it might be a 2-stopper, and there it is. Dylan's pulling a 2-stopper right now, but he has the tires all the way to the end. This might be now Mads Wilton's race to lose. He has to keep the tires together for the next 9 minutes.
Hong Kong's Triple L is the first one to try to get the better of, but Leon is holding on, and Dylan Tan, this is fascinating, a 2-stop strategy. Tan has got to make progress pretty early on. He's on his outlap. 2 stops he's made. It means that Masvilton has a lead. Masvilton's lead is actually quite considerable as we're on board with Dylan Tan. He's got to get past Triple L, then Faustino, then Shazlizan, then Justin Hung, then Garrido and Aquino, and then maybe pick up Masvilton. But Jin Masvilton, only 8 minutes to go. That's an astonishing strategy for me.
Oh yeah, in fact, I love how that there's 3 separate strategies that everyone's doing right now, and they're all coming to the fore in the last 8 minutes here. As we can see, Dylan goes around the outside here at the kink. Does he make the move stake around Triple L? No, not yet. He'll have to make it around the outside at the Canada corner. This is one overtaking spot that he has to make it now, otherwise that lead to Ms. Wilton will be proven too much to overhaul him.
Now he goes on the inside, Dylan Tan. He's got 1 place, so that's one good maneuver. He's inside Triple L. Justin Hung is next. Shazlizan has gone, and that's really good maneuvering there. So Dylan Tan's got himself up into P5. Maybe it's not as daft a strategy as this correspondent thinks. You certainly like it though, Amo, don't you? You think it could pay dividends.
Oh yeah, definitely. I love it when there's so many strategies involved together, especially the fact that you don't know which strategy is the best. And Dylan right now might be vindicated if he could make up a lot of time in the next 7 minutes that we have left. But that might be a bit of a bridge too far, because Ms. Wilton, despite looking on what was actually the poorest strategy initially, will now be vindicated. He might actually just win this thing.
Let's have a look at the battle for P2. Garrido and Aquino. Aquino has been trying to get past the Puma Yellow of Joaquim Garrido for over 3 consecutive laps now. But Garrido is defending. Aquino just frustrated. These guys are 10 seconds adrift of the race leader, Jin Masvilton. 6.5 seconds for Masvilton. to hold on, to keep lapping quickly. His last lap was a 1:58.7. Not too shabby.
Oh, not too shabby, Alonso, indeed. Football and racing reference together. But yeah, right now he just needs to hold together. But just now, if you saw it, coming through the carousel, he went completely wide, and that's not going to do his tires very good. In fact, Tasbih and Jin, they're looking at each other's screens. Is it enough, or is it a bridge too far? They might have to do a second stop as well. Remember, these tires also can puncture, so they wouldn't want to risk that coming into the last few laps.
Dylan Tan is closing in on Paul Faustino. Dylan Tan has got himself up into P4. Paul Faustino is the latest for the prodigy Dylan Tan to maneuver through. What a strategy if it comes off. Brave and entertaining no matter what. He's got himself up into P4. Ahead of them, Garrido and Aquino side by side as they go on to lap number 18 for them. Aquino in the white tries to come down the hill. Garrido defends. They touch wheels. Garrido holds on, but Aquino manages to get in front. Oh, they're nearly up sideways. They're climbing all over each other. Compatriots they may be, but they are desperate for P2, and Garrido holds on by the skin of his teeth, by the width of a tire.
Wow, and look at that. But through all of this, Dylan Tan's closing on them by a rate of knots. He is only just 10 seconds behind both of these guys. In fact, 9 now. He could overhaul these guys if they continue to battle like this. This is amazing. Strategies coming to the fore in the last 5 minutes of this race. Anyway, it could be anybody's position by the end of it.
Garrido in the yellow, Aquino in the white for P2. Masvilton a mile clear at the moment in P1. 10 seconds clear. Dylan Tan in P4. Well, there's the people he's got ahead of him. Oh no, that's a back marker, isn't it? That's a back marker. Yes.
Yes, it is. You can't tell who's there right now because we don't have the names on top because that will be distracting for the viewers.
In the meantime, Haris Zephy, who crashed out. He had 2 stops but wasn't planning it. Now he's got a nose cone back on, but he's now in P11. He'll rescue at least some points from this weekend, but P11 for Haris Zephy. A long way adrift of Naufal Mohammed. There's no way he can make up 30 seconds to get into P10.
Nope. This will be a race that, for him, it got away. But it's crucial right now for him to think that, right? He might have lost his first race, but he's got 5 more runs to make up, so he could probably put this race in the bin if he gets better results along the way.
Dylan Tan is making up ground. He's 7 seconds, 6.5 seconds adrift of P2. Ignore the driver just in front. Dylan looks up, a young, fresh, innocent face as he drives up the brow of the hill. He moves on to his lap number 19. Masvilton leads. Garrido and Aquino will beware of the young destroyer making his way through the field in P4. Faustino, Triple L complete the top 6. Notice, credit to the Japanese. He's got himself up into P9 and he'll score some points for Japan.
And he's been going along his business quite quietly, actually. He's not made the crazy moves that we've seen some of the other drivers do. He's just been strolling along. And the fact that he's been doing it since the last season. He got a podium out of nowhere. Basically, he's just been doing the laps and not doing any crazy moves. And that's why he's consistent.
Garrido's still ahead of Oliver Aquino. And Aquino seems to have been swatted back after literally being wheel to wheel. It seems to have done more damage to Aquino than it has to Garrido. And Garrido has been able to hold on to this P2, which he's been in for, I think, the best part of 5 laps now. Too far behind to get a P1, but 2 minutes remaining. Dylan Tan, 6 seconds adrift. He's gone past the back marker, but surely too much. You can't make up 6 seconds, 5.5 seconds in 2 minutes, can you, Amo?
I think he can, because 2 minutes and he's closing in by at least 4 seconds a lap, I think, because last time he was 4 seconds faster than Joaquin Garrido in their lap times. So he might catch up to them by the end of this lap, because this is going to be the final lap now. It may be a bridge too far, but I think the way that he's pushing and he's got fresher tires, he might be able to. But the point of interest right now, we have to look back at Jim Masvilton. Will he be able to conserve the tires all the way to the end? Or will he have to do a 3-wheel Hamilton move, just like at the British Grand Prix last weekend?
Yeah, I was thinking that. This will be the final lap. Jin Masvilton is there. Let's look at that tyre wear. Ooh, he slides a little bit. He's looking nervous. The eyes are going. And I tell you what, the support is looking a little bit nervous for him there as well. Come on, says Tasby, come on.
He has not blinked. I can see right now, this guy has not blinked for almost a minute. He is fully focused. This is what real drivers do. In fact, in actual F1 and MotoGP, for example, they only blink once a lap. And that's how much they are focusing. His eyes are wide open. It's white knuckle driving right now for him.
In P2, Aquino eventually has got ahead of Garrido. He waited and waited and waited and deserves his moment in P2. Almost guaranteed a podium place. Dylan Tan, well, it's too far behind. This is the last lap. It was a brave strategy. He's just got Joaquim Garrido in his sights, but surely cannot close that amount of space. Or can he? He's closing. No, he couldn't, could he?
Oh, he might have to do a last minute lunge at Canada Corner or the final corner that goes up the hill. But what if it is? He's got the better tyres. He's got the speed. He just needs to nail these last two corners here through the carousel and through the kink to get any chance of at least securing a podium. As Masvilton now, after looking like a really poor strategy and a poor pit stop, he will win this race.
He certainly will. He's 8 seconds clear. He can afford a puncture as he comes into the final couple of corners. You can almost see the relief on his face there. Jin Masvilton, the Singaporean from a fine eRacing family. He looks up the hill. He's got a lead of 7.5 seconds over Oliver Aquino. Comes up the hill and the victory will belong to Singapore and it belongs to Jin Masvilton. High five for Masvilton. The battle behind them though. Aquino, Garrido and Dylan Tan just couldn't get there in time. Dylan Tan, a brave strategy, comes in P4. Faustino, 5. Triple L from Hong Kong under pressure for P6. But it's, that's Triple L who'll take that in P6. Seb Tagulo in P8. But Masvilton, congratulations to the Singaporean. You were critical of his strategy, and yet it's the one that prevailed, Amo Hazik.
Yeah, I was critical of him because that amount of time that he lost in the pits. Either he fluffed it, or the fact that he already had a tire problem prior to that time. But whatever it is, it has actually paid dividends because the guys in front had to do a second stop. And he maintained his tires all the way to the end. And that's why he won this. And to the delight of Dasby right behind there. And he finally blinked when he crossed the line, actually.
Haris Zephy comes in 11th place. He's just coming over the line now. Oh, it could and should have been so different for Haris, but he went into the wall. As he goes into the wall, that cost, and when he was in the lead, that cost him first place. And Haris, I suppose, will just have to be happy that he's been able to pick up some kind of points in this race. He was fastest in qualification, so it's not a complete dead loss this weekend. You can throw one set of results away in the 6-round season, but this could and should have been so much better for Haris Zephy. Instead, the victory belongs to Jim Masvilton. Our thanks to Amo Hazik for his fine work in the analysis there. Haris Zephy has the consolation of a fastest lap, but Jin Masvilton, despite a very slow pit stop, he picks up the win. Aquino and Garrido for the Philippines, Faustino 5th, Dylan Tan, brave race by the youngster for Singapore, he picks up P4. Triple L for Hong Kong, Leon Leo picks up P6. Shazlizan Tagulo, Mohammed Faiz, Haris Zephy, Mohammed Khalif, Shakil Aziz, Hung and Jun Cheng Ung are the other points scorers. And Alex Young rejoins us back. Alex, you were a very interested observer in what was going on there. And I tell you what, mate, these pit stops, they change the whole complexion of races. Superb innovation.
I think Masvilton, I don't think he had a slow pit stop. I could see he was going his lap times are just dropping off before the pit stops. I think he was trying to make those tires last, because he knew if he wanted to make a one-stop strategy work, he had to get to the 20-minute mark, and he just about got it. But that's why that gap there was there, because I didn't see him make a mistake. So I thought, no, he's just lost that time due to tire wear and having to manage those tires. I think Harris Zeffy and Dylan were both always going to do a two-stop strategy. Shame for Harris Zeffy, though, because maybe he could have still won with a two-stop strategy if it wasn't for that accident.
But it was a heck of an accident, and it came in. He just seemed to lose control, lose concentration. And if you're in the lead, you just can't afford to lose concentration.
Especially with back markers. And that's the thing about motor racing. The intensity is always there, here to zero in a fraction of a second, and vice versa.
Dylan Tan, wow, what a phenomenon this young kid is.
Yes, great race by Dylan. Really good to see them do that. So well done to Dylan.
And finally, they mentioned the Filipinos, Aquino and Garrido. They had a real scrap with each other. It got a little bit touchy-feely towards the end. And in the end, Garrido wasn't able to hold on, but he held off Aquino for the best part of 5 laps.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see that battle. And Aquino especially. We've seen Garrido have a good races before with us, but not seen Aquino do well yet. This is the first time he's been on the podium, because he's really experienced from Philippines. He's really good in some other platforms. But RaceRoom, he's still a little bit new to, but great job by both of them.